Hello, my name is Mandy. I'm with Scott Leroy Marketing, and today's class is Docusign 101. So if you're here with me live, if you have any questions as we go along, please drop those in the chat, just like we talked about. And if you're watching this back on recording, you can always reach out to us via email, support@scottleroymarketing.com. We'll be happy to help you. So with DocuSign 101, we'll actually be going over the signature platform DocuSign. There is a special type of DocuSign account that is compatible with Command. I'm going to go over that with you today as well. And that platform is essentially used to access your forms, like your Market Center forms or your board forms. It's also used so that you can edit those forms as you need to in transactions, and then also how to send those to your contacts, to your clients to get their signature. And lastly, we'll be looking at how to, once you have those signed forms, how to get them turned into your market center for compliance. So I'll be going step by step with you guys through that today. If you haven't checked out our opportunities and sales pipeline class, that's kind of one that goes hand in hand with this. It really walks you through the sales pipeline of how to handle an opportunity in Command from start to finish. So this DocuSign 101 class is the signature platform side, right? How to actually get into the nuts and bolts of your forms and getting those signatures. But opportunities in sales pipeline handles the Command portion of it, of those transactions. So definitely recommend checking that out too if you have any questions on the process of how to actually move through a transaction in Command. So let's start out with some super basics. I'm going to first show you where your DocuSign account links to Command, and also how to create that special KW DocuSign account. In order for the DocuSign account to be compatible with Command, it does need to be created from within Command itself. So first, let's go to our name in the top right of Command over here and go to Settings. I'll zoom in a little bit so it's big enough for you guys. Oop, that might be too far. Okay, there we go. So where we came to is your name and then settings, right? So this is your applications page. This is where your third-party applications actually connect to your Command. If your DocuSign is already linked, more than likely you're going to see it right up here towards the top underneath your connected apps. It would say DocuSign and show connected status right here. If so, you should be good to go. Your DocuSign is already created. It's obviously compatible because it's linked to your Command and you have a connected status. So you can pretty much ignore this next part. If your applications page looks like ours and DocuSign's not up here underneath connected apps, you may need to scroll down a little right here to digital signature and transactions. And you can see our DocuSign account right here underneath it. It does say not connected, so we need to fix that. Let's go ahead and click Connect Account. And on this screen right here, if you do not have a KW DocuSign account, this is how you create it. You would click Connect Account, make sure your first and last name are correct in these two fields, and enter your preferred business email right here in this field. It does need to be an email address that is not currently used on any DocuSign account. Okay. And then you would send yourself the registration email by clicking this button at the bottom. That's going to send an email to you. It's a DocuSign invitation. You would go to your email account and follow the steps within that email. It would allow you to finish setting up your account and establish your password at that time. Okay. Excuse me, little frog in my throat. And so that's how you would create that new KW DocuSign account. Let's say you already have a KW DocuSign account. You just need to get it connected to Command. I'm going to close this window to start from scratch for you and show you the steps that you would take to link an existing KW DocuSign account to Command. You would click Connect, choose the option where it says you already have an account. So log in here. You would enter your preferred email here, which we're going to do. Give me 2 shakes to do that. There we go. And after you enter your business name, that your business email that's already associated with that DocuSign account, you would click log in, and it's going to prompt you for your DocuSign password at this point. Any minute now. There we go. And you would enter your password here and click log in. There we go. We get a banner saying it's now ready. Now you can see that our DocuSign app, it's moved up here underneath the connected app section. And now it shows in connected status. Okay, so you should be good to go. This is the goal. You want your DocuSign to be a KW DocuSign, and you want it to be actively linked to your command before starting any opportunities in command. Okay. So I mean, it's fine if you've created some test or whatever, but when you connect your DocuSign, then you should be good to go to start creating opportunities and they will link properly. Okay. Let me just go ahead and add this in there too. Whenever you have a transaction to start, you always want to start your command opportunity first before going directly into your DocuSign account, like opening another tab and going to docusign.com or opening the DocuSign app and starting to create forms for that opportunity. As soon as it starts, initially, you want to always start in your command and create that opportunity first. This is going to make it link properly. I'm going to show you what I mean. Now that we've gone over how to create that DocuSign account and get it linked, let's go over here to our opportunities tab, the 2 little hands shaking, and go ahead and jump into creating an opportunity. If you're not familiar with the icons there on the left-hand side, you can always click that red square at the top and it will bump out the names for you. You can click the red square again to hide them. And so here we are on our opportunities tab. Again, that other opportunities class will go over all of this goodness in detail. For today's class, we're just going to go ahead and create that opportunity so that we can get on over to our DocuSign platform. So we'll click Create Opportunity in the top right. I'm going to go through these fields pretty quickly. Again, the other class goes into how to do this in detail. I'm just going to get this set up so that we can get into our documents here. Got to find my little guy. Okay, there we go. All right, awesome. So we're moving on down. I'm just hitting the mandatory fields. You'll want to make sure that you have your market center selected, the type of opportunity you're doing. Make sure you link that contact, right? You can adjust your opportunity name if you would like to. I'm actually going to go ahead and change that as well so that we know it's the one for our class today. There we go. And I'm going to click create. So again, just creating our opportunity here. Just kidding. Just welcome to command this week. Okay, so give me 2 seconds. We're going to close it. We're going to try again. I hope it works. Let me get that moved over. There we go. This is tech in real time, guys. It is not always predictable. All right. Okay. We're going to scrap making a new opportunity. I'm going to jump into one of our existing ones down here already. So give me 2 seconds. I'm going to find us a little opportunity that we can actually jump into. Thank you guys for your patience as we rally with the errors and issues that are happening. We know we got a lot of updates coming through command, right? So it's going to make it better. Perfect. Okay, I should be able to work with this one. Okay, guys, coming back out to our opportunities tab. I'm just going to jump into the sales pipeline again just to talk you through my steps that I just took. Typically, you would go to create opportunity at the top right and handle business that way. I'm going to click into our sales pipeline, select our little opportunity by clicking in here. And this is what it looks like inside of an opportunity in case you haven't been here just yet. And so there's a couple of things that I want to point out to you in order to get to that DocuSign platform. So one is your details tab right here for this particular opportunity. Anything that's updated on the details tab right here can sync automatically into your DocuSign account for you. So that's the good news. If you ever have details that you want to update on your opportunity, like the property, the contact, any important key dates that you want to enter here, you can do that and it will actually update into your DocuSign account. It will create a little sync button right here where you can manually push those updates through to DocuSign, and hopefully that will appear and I'll show it to you here in just a little bit in our class. So now that we're here in the opportunities, let's go ahead and click over to the Documents tab. Again, just going over how to get this set up initially. Once you're in your Documents tab, you do need to pick a checklist type that applies to this type of opportunity. These checklists will be different depending on your market center. So you may or may not see this humongo list, okay? It may be a shorter list, but for this market center, this is what they have. We're going to go ahead and just say it's a residential listing today. And this opens up all the forms or a list of forms down here that are either required for this transaction, conditional for this transaction, and sometimes you'll see an optional form. Let's see if I can find us one today. There we go. There's an optional form. Okay. So this kind of lets you know what forms you're needing to get done in order to get through this transaction. So since this is a listing opportunity, you will have our listed forms that we'll want to get signed and turned into command or turned into our market center. We'll have our under contract forms. I can click that. Notice the forms change over here that are needed. And then we'll also have the documents that you'll want to get signed once it's closed and turned into your market center. Okay. So this just kind of lets you know what forms you're looking for. We're going to revisit this and process how to turn these into your market center shortly. So now that we're in our opportunity, we have our documents tab set for the right type of opportunity. We can actually come now and start a transaction over here on the right. When you click this button, it will open up a brand new Docusign room. Okay. That's what most market centers and agents are using. If you by chance are still using Dotloop, you may also see the option to choose Dotloop. Like if I click this little arrow over here, we have Dotloop and Docusign linked to our account. So you may see the option to choose one of the two if you have both of them linked. Okay. Once we start this transaction, that properly links your opportunity to your DocuSign room. This is that step I was saying, make sure you do this first from within command. And then once you've done it, once you've created that DocuSign room by clicking start a transaction, then yes, you can sign right into DocuSign app on your phone if you're on the go. You can go directly to docusign.com and work on your documents. You don't always have to come in through command, except that very first time. You want to make sure it's linked properly. If the DocuSign room is created first in DocuSign before it's created in command, it will not link properly. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and click Start a Transaction. Choose DocuSign. Silently pray that it works. All right, it looks like we're in business. Hot dog. All right. And so as you can see, guys, DocuSign is opening in our new tab. It created our new DocuSign room. So a DocuSign room is just a space. Think of it as an office space or a file folder. It's the place where the information for this transaction is going to live. Okay. So I'm going to finish going over the steps of making sure that you have access to your forms and things like that. And then we'll start going through the details of this room and how to edit those forms. So, first things first, if you are just setting up your DocuSign account, Angel, that's a great question. Is this ID number the same as in Command? Typically, no, this is just going to be your DocuSign Room ID. Whereas if we click back over to Command and go to Details, you have an Opportunity ID as well that's separate. Okay. But you can tell by the opportunity name right here too, if you ever need to. And you do have a details tab right here in your opportunity, or excuse me, in your DocuSign room that can help you like compare. They're linked together through the Documents tab right here. So you'll always be able to come into the opportunity, click Documents, and click Go to Transaction now. So you should be fine. I will say this, once you're in DocuSign rooms and things like that, you'll more than likely be using this opportunity name or the contact name or the property name to search through your rooms. I'll show you in a little bit how to actually find stuff when you're hunting it. Okay? So if this is your first time setting up DocuSign, you do want to make sure you have access to those forms. So this next step I'm going to show you is kind of a one-time deal. You won't have to do this every time you sign into Command. Once it's done, it's done. And chances are it's already done for you, especially if you got set up by us here at Scott Leroy Marketing. But I do want to show you how to integrate your forms into DocuSign so that you know that you have proper access. So to do so, you would want to go to your initials at the top right and go to Preferences. There we go. So now we can go to Integrations. And right here under DocuSign Form Settings, this is where you can add your Market Center forms. They're going to be termed company forms here within DocuSign. If you don't see this just yet, what you can do is click Add Provider. And right down here at the bottom, it's in gray because mine are already selected, but you would have a blue link right here that says continue to company forms without validation. And you would simply click that. It will then show company forms listed right here under providers. And that means you now have access to your Market Center forms. So some Market Centers, they also provide board forms and things like that within their forms. So you may be good to go. However, if you have a NERDS number, an NRDS number, and you're wanting to make sure you have access to your MLS forms, this is going to apply to the majority of agents in the majority of states, then you'll want to also integrate that NRDS number. They've renamed it the M1 number. So if that's what you're familiar with hearing, that's the same thing. NRDS, it's your National Association of Realtors number, is the same thing as M1 number. You will integrate that by clicking Add Provider, choosing which board is more appropriate for you. If you don't see anything that you're a member of, you can always click the Realtor right here and it should work for you either way. So we'll click NRDS, or excuse me, the Realtor logo for NAR, and you would enter your NERDS number right here, your last name exactly as it appears on your state license, and then you would choose the association you're a member of out of this group, okay, out of this list. You would just pick one. Then you can click validate. You would get a green banner at the top. And once this window is closed, it would then say NAR forms up here at the top. And that would be your integration with your NERDS number and give you further access to things like your board forms, your MLS board forms. Okay. For our Canadian agents, I believe our California agents are going to fall into this category as well. You may be accessing forms either through your board directly, like in California, or you may be accessing forms through zip forms. If you're accessing forms directly through zip forms, there is a way to integrate your zip forms into DocuSign right here. You would simply click the blue arrow, enter your zip form username and password, and integrate that zip form. Okay. Again, the things that I just showed you are one time. Once it's done, it's done. You don't have to do this every time you log into DocuSign. I just want to make sure for the newbies that are here with us that, and I say that very affectionately, but the newbies that are here, I want to make sure that you're aware that you have access to all of your forms, okay? If you have any issues about this or run into any snags, definitely reach out to us. We'll be happy to jump in and see if we can get that corrected for you. Tom, yes, this is definitely one of those classes where you'll probably want to go back through later and walk through step by step in your own DocuSign. So, yes, this class is recorded and it will be up on our YouTube channel. Usually within 24 hours, but the archive is already there. So let me drop that link in the chat for you. That second link right there is our YouTube channel, and that's where you can find the class archive that was just recorded, I think, just 3 weeks ago or so. Um, okay, so that's all the kind of setup stuff we're going to go over. Let's start getting into some super practical stuff, okay? I'm going to come back to rooms up here at the top. And Angel, when we were talking earlier about how to hunt and peck, how to find the rooms you're really looking for, this is what it looks like under your rooms. Excuse me, that rooms tab. And so you can kind of see that you start to see the address and also contact names sometimes on the actual rooms. Each card that you're looking at is a room. You even have another view over here in the top right if you want to make that a list view, if that's easier. You can. For today, I'm going to stay in card view. And this is our little guy that we just made right here. So I'm going to go ahead and just click on him and open him. Okay, so we went through the steps of how to create the opportunity, how to start the transaction in DocuSign. Now let's talk about how to get forms into this DocuSign room so that we can edit them and make changes, right? And so you would do that by going to the Documents tab and clicking your Add button right over here in the top right. Now, you have several options on how to get forms into this room. You can see here that you can choose your computer to actually upload a form. You can use DocuSign forms. These are the ones we just integrated. Your MLS board forms, your Market Center forms. I'm going to go ahead and click this because this is 9 out of 10 times where you are going to find your forms at. So I'll show you when you click DocuSign forms. All of your form libraries will be over here in the bottom left. You can click and view. Okay. Packets will be up here in the top left. Think of these as little special folders. Let me see if I can find one like this. They have a really clear name. Your Market Center can make packets for you. Um, they will, or they make them for their office as well as the board does too. And they'll label them like these are the forms that you'd want for a residential listing. So you can click that packet and it will show you the forms that you need. I'm going to show you more here, but don't panic. We have a lot of them. You won't see this many in your account. You may see maybe a handful of them at the top, but you'll be able to kind of scroll through and by the name of the packet, you'll know, okay, those are the forms I need for that type of transaction that I'm working on. So either way, you can kind of click through these packets, okay? And then over here on the right, you can even use the search bar to type in the particular form that you're looking for. Angel, that's $1 million question. Agents used to not be able to create their own packets, but as of this past, I'm going to look it up for us really quick so I can give you a definitive answer. Just recently, we were able to get that done. So let's see. Yep. You can now, as agents, create those packets. And so Rich is on it. Thank you, Rich, for getting that answered. I'm going to go ahead and drop the article that'll share more information. It looks like it was updated a few months ago. So I might just be a little late to the party. We've just seen a couple of issues with creating packets from the agent standpoint. So we were always kind of iffy if it was actually going to work, but it does look like this is working and functioning. And Rich, our man, is letting us know we can. So, um, Jay, yeah, especially if you're looking for a particular form that you can always use your search bar right here. Um, and type in that name. And once you type it in, like, well, I don't know, put rent or lease. Let's put lease. Um, and so you can put lease and then start clicking through your packets. And if there's a form in that packet that has that particular name, you'll be able to see it. Sometimes it is a little easier as well just to come down and get your library name and click that and continue to see which forms in each library have that particular word in them. Okay. Oh, Jay, I'm sorry. If you would, if you'll email us, we can actually jump in and see if we can't find that for you, and see what maybe it could be a form integration that's an issue for you. Okay. So either way, guys, this is your DocuSign room where you would add the forms through your DocuSign forms. You can click the eyeball to preview them if you need to. When you preview, it will have a watermark on there. It's only because you're previewing that won't be on your form when you start editing it, okay? And once you've previewed it, you know that's what you want to see. You can go ahead and check the boxes beside the forms that you want to grab and add to this room. And so let me go ahead. I'm in a Texas opportunity. So let me find some Texas forms so that I don't have any errors grabbing other forms into a Texas opportunity. Oh, I saw lease up there. That's my problem. There we go. And so I'll just grab a couple of forms here and we'll throw them into our room. We'll grab all of them. And then add selected when you're ready. And this is what it looks like when you have forms in your room. Okay. Another way to add them is you can click that add them from zip forms, Box, Dropbox, or even your Google Drive. You can also drag and drop forms from your device, guys. Let me show you that really quick. So just have our files open here on our device, and so I can just drag and drop into the room. Okay. One important thing to remember about that is so, Angel, you can add and click computer, and you should be able, as long as you've got OneDrive on your, okay, good. As long as you've got OneDrive on your device, you should be able to add those forms. You're welcome. I want to point out a big difference here. Now, notice the forms that we pulled from DocuSign Form have this little blue form icon on them. What that means is this is a dynamic form. This is a power form. This means that there's already fields built into that form by either your Market Center or your MLS, so that as soon as I go to edit these, the fields will already be there. I can just put my cursor in the field and start typing. If you've uploaded forms from your device and you see this red PDF, it means it's a flat PDF. There's no fields on it yet. Nothing has been added. And you'll actually want to edit this in the envelope once you start adding signatures and adding fields. I'll go into this in more detail here in two shakes. But I want to point that out. When you see the red PDF, it's a flat PDF, no fields on it yet. If it's a blue form like this, it will auto-populate information about this opportunity on that form for you automatically, like your details tab or in your opportunities where you have the property already listed, or your contact's name already listed. When you start editing those type of forms, it will help you pre-populate that information. And last but not least, the last way to upload forms into your Docusign room is simply by emailing them into Docusign. You have an inbox for your Docusign account right here. And so if I were to click the inbox, you have a specific email address for your Docusign account right here. From your own email account, you can email forms to this email address. They would appear here underneath your inbox tab, and then you can parse them out to whichever DocuSign room that they were intended to be from there. Okay? So that's another way that you can send forms to yourself without having to manually add them or upload them. Now that we've talked about, yeah, Angel, I love that feature. So now that we've talked about how to get these forms added in here, let's talk about how to actually edit them so that you can get them prepped before you get your signatures on them. Okay. So as I was talking about the details for an opportunity earlier, that very first opportunities detail tab that I went over, I always recommend going there first to make sure your information is on your opportunity, and then you can push that information through to your DocuSign room. So let's go ahead and go back to our opportunities tab here and go to our details page. Angel, technically, yeah, anybody that has that DocuSign email can send forms to it. And so here's the details tab. On your opportunity, we've already added our contact. You can also select and link a listing, especially since this is a listing opportunity. That will help pre-populate information over here in the property fields. So we'll go ahead and link a listing for today's demo. Don't worry if this says that you need to sync your MLS and don't have any listings matching. Don't worry about that. You can always come right over here to show all listings or listings associated with your market center. We'll go ahead and choose that option today. You can look at all statuses as well. Great. So you can see we're having an error on the bottom right. So let me do all listings and make sure that those listings are coming through. There we go. We'll do all listings. We'll pick a for sale listing. You can search by street name or by MLS number. MLS number is always going to serve you better, um, just because think of all the addresses that are shared throughout the United States, right? And so we're just going to go ahead and grab one of these listings. Hopefully this will work and not give us an error. So I'm just going to go ahead and select our very first one. Now we see that listing is linked to the opportunity. Notice it pre-populated that information in the property fields for us as well. And we have blue synced buttons, which means that information synced with our DocuSign room already. If you ever come here and need to manually edit this information, let's say you added a co-seller, or maybe you added a key date down here. We'll come in here, click our pencil, and we'll add a listing date. We'll say, I don't even know what today is. Okay, we'll say this listing is going to be on Monday, and then, yeah, we'll click save. And so we updated our listing date in this field. Notice we're starting to see some of the fields that say edited, and some are still synced, but some have been edited and they're just beige. That means it needs to be synced with DocuSign. So we can click Sync Transaction, Update, and now our room information has been updated with the details here on this tab. So when you're wanting to edit forms or you want as much information as possible to pre-populate, that's why we're filling in our details tab in the opportunity first, syncing it with that transaction. It should have changed that to sync. Let's hit the refresh on our browser. Again, guys, we're going to limp through some of the tech issues today together. There we go. So I hit refresh on our browser, and now we're getting that synced logo here. We should be good to go. Now we can go back to our DocuSign room, click on our rooms. That's our room right here. So we're going to click on it to open it. And we're on the details tab here. Notice the information from our opportunity already pre-populated. We can see that with our seller's information over here on the far right. We see that the property information also fed over as well. Now you can come here in the details tab and enter more information if you want. Don't be afraid to edit it directly. It just usually flows better if you make sure your opportunity is updated first and then DocuSign. But you can come in here and click edit and start adding some information in here as well. It will help it populate again on your forms when you go to edit. So now that we know our details are all squared away, we can come up to our Documents tab, pick whichever form we want to edit first. I'm going to find one that's got some fields on it. Let's do this form. And you just simply click the form. It will open on your screen. And the fields that are already on it, because remember it's a blue form, the one we got from our DocuSign forms, the fields are already here, and you can see they're pre-populated with your information. For the other forms that aren't pre-populated, you can simply put your cursor in the field and begin filling it out as you'd like to. Okay, so you can do that as you need to, make any changes. You can even click on, let's say there was a typo or something, or you wanted just to add some information here. You can come into fields that already um, have information and edit that. Okay, so don't be afraid to make changes as you need to. Angel, it actually won't. So if you update DocuSign Details tab, it won't change your Opportunities Detail tab. Yep, it's a one-way sync for that, the details. That's why I always recommend going to your opportunities first. The thing is the DocuSign Details tab actually has more fields than the Opportunity Details do. So that's why, yes, you can come into the details in DocuSign and make changes because there's more fields there. But just recommend always making sure those updates are made in Command first. All right, and so this is how you would edit your documents. Again, put your cursor into the fields that you want to put information in. Um, don't be worried about not being able to edit the signature blocks. We will do that in the envelope. Chances are, as long as it's that blue form, it'll automatically populate for you anyway. Okay. But editing the forms, this is how you would do it. You would simply click on the form, edit the fields, and just save and close. Okay. And also, editing forms, sometimes you made a mistake. Sometimes you need to delete them or archive them. Maybe you want to print them. There is a hidden menu that lives in this Documents tab. When you select your form by clicking the box, it will appear. The main items that you will use probably in this menu are there's the delete button, trash can. You have an archive button, which means you can pull it back out of archives later if you need to. And you have that pencil right here or the pen. That is actually going to be the next thing we jump into. That's how to start sending this to your clients for signatures. But I want to show you one other thing. Remember the red PDF form? Let's go down here. The red PDF form that was a flat form we pulled from our device. I can click that to quote unquote edit it, but since it's that flat PDF, there's no fields on this form, okay, like our other one. So if you need to add forms to a flat PDF, you will do that in the envelope stage, okay? Once we are in the envelope, you'll be able to add fields to a flat PDF and fill in information. Okay, and I'll show you that in just a second. Let's go ahead and close that little guy. And let's actually start looking at sending documents to clients to get those signatures. You've already come in here, you've edited your forms, you know that they're great. Um, and then you want to actually get signatures. Monique, I see you. I'll read that in two shakes. But the forms, gather your forms that you want to send for signatures. So we'll just click on a couple here. We'll grab our little guy that we were editing his fields, and then we'll grab our flat PDF because I want to show you how that's going to operate in an envelope, okay? So we have our two little forms that we want to send for signatures. You would just select the box beside them and click the pen. It's going to ask you who you're sending this to. Remember, it already has information saved in the opportunity and in our room for these particular roles. And also the forms are apparently I grabbed buyer forms and it needs a buyer to sign instead of a seller. So that's fine. We'll say both of these guys are who we're sending this form to, and we'll continue. When it's you and you're a professional and you're going to know the listing forms that you're going to grab for a transaction, as long as it's a listing opportunity, you'll see the option to add list or seller one and seller two, and you'll click that. There we go. All right. And so now we're in our envelope, guys. At the top, it's asking you the documents. Let's say you forgot one. You can upload right from here or go back and grab one out of your Docusign room to add in. You can also drag and drop these in a different order if you want one in particular to be before the other. You can also click the three dots and have a few options down here to like rename the document, delete the document, things like that. Okay. Once you have your document squared away, come down to recipients. Now it went ahead and added buyer one and buyer two for us. And now we can add in their information. So I'm just going to say buyer one, add in an email, and we're going to name our second little guy and add in his email. And there we go. So you'll want to make sure your name and your email for each signer is correct. Then you can look at your signing order. Let's say this particular person needs to sign first, and then you want it to go to this person for them to sign. Then you would have it in a signing order of one and two. You can grab these dots right here on the signers and swap them around if you need to. And if you want it to go to everybody at the same time, you can unclick a signing order and it's just going to blast this out to everybody that needs to sign at the same time. Okay. We'll keep ours in a signing order. And then you need to make sure that you're choosing the right action for each one of these recipients. It automatically sets them to need to sign for these two. But you can go ahead and choose. Maybe it's an in-person signer and you're going to open it on a device instead. Then also it's a receive a copy, needs to view, allow to edit. You've got some choices. Okay. Once you're done with the recipients, by the way, you can add recipients and even add a delay in between the recipients. You can come down to your message. And Angel, I think this is what you were just asking about. Excuse me. It doesn't add an email signature for you, but if you want to make sure your name is on this, you can always add in the email message, thanks, Angel, that kind of thing. At the end, the DocuSign email that will go to them will show them, hey, so and so sent you this and this, right? It will say that at least. But if you want to make sure some kind of email signature is in there, you would want to type it in this field. You can adjust this as much as you want. Have the email subject line here, the email message here. You can even customize the message that goes to each signer. If I were to check that box, now I've got buyer one's email details and buyer two emails details. So you can change this around. You even have that great language option. Let me open that back up so you can see email language that you can choose as well. Okay, that doesn't change the language on your forms, but it will change the language in the email that goes to them. Okay, so make sure this is adjusted like you would like and come over here to the right and click next. Now that you have your envelope set. Um, Monique, let me come back up to your question really quick so it doesn't get buried. I have a question for way down the line. If a seller sales property disclosure is completed and signed, and you realize there's one thing that's incorrect, is there a way to update that without having the seller fill out the entire form? Again, that's a sticky question because in my day when I was in production as a realtor, it was nothing to scratch through an initial and just initial over it and have a new date and timestamp. Um, it's come to my knowledge that some places for compliance that's no longer allowed. You can't scratch out or sign over an initial changes on a legal document. You actually have to have a brand new one. So I would definitely check with your market center for that. Um, you can come in here all day long and make new copies of forms, and then send them through an envelope again. Um, but you want to check with your market center on that one just for compliance though. Um, Adriana, when using in-person signer, are you able to print out the form with the correct auto-populated information? You can from the room. You can remember once you edit the form, you can check the checkbox to the top left and choose the print option, Adriana. But when you're in person, what that does is it will still send the form to that person's to an email. And then when you're ready to have the in-person signing, you would open the email on the device and be able to sign, and it will actually, on that one device, it will open the documents for each signer that it's set to sign. It's assuming you're passing the device around a room to the different people that are going to sign in person, if that makes sense. So it's still not like a paper option. So if you're looking to print paper copies, I wouldn't do I wouldn't create the envelope. I would just stay in your DocuSign room, your documents tab, select the check mark beside the documents, and choose the print option if you're wanting some paper copies. Um, all right, guys, so we just finished our envelope details and we click next. And now you can see our forms are in the middle of our page. Our options to edit are on the left. Okay, and so right up here at the top left, we are under buyer one. Notice they're in yellow. So all of these signature initials and dates and things like that that we can add, radio buttons, check boxes, they're all in yellow. And that means that that particular buyer, when they get their envelope, those are the fields that they will see and need to change, click, sign, initial, that kind of thing. It'll be the fields that it highlights for them to take action with. You can scroll down and see that even though the signature line showed blank when we were editing, the signatures are already pre-populated for us, so you don't have to drag and drop. But if you want to change them, you can always click on them, change the size, move them around a little bit. You can even delete them and add them somewhere else if you want. But again, to save time, these are usually already pre-populated for you on your blue forms, the DocuSign forms. You can still always come in here and put your cursor in the boxes and type information here. Like, I mean, you can still come in and make changes as you need to. None of this is static. Um, make any adjustments that you want as you're going. Okay. And so when you're ready to move over to another signer, you can click this drop down and choose buyer two. Notice now they're in blue. These are the fields that they will be prompted to take action with. And if you're wanting to add anything, you literally simply drag and drop and adjust the size, put it where you want it to go. Maybe you need to add a radio button. There we go. You can add a radio button. Notice you have some options over here This is just an overview class, just the basics 101. So I'm not going to jump in heavy over here. But for like radio buttons, you can make it a required field for that person to have to select. Like maybe it's a disclaimer and you have to have them select to acknowledge that they read that. Make it a required field. And so then they'd have to come in and select it. Okay. On that flat PDF, scrolling down to this really quickly where we didn't have any fields, right? Let's get to a little white spot. The second page is not showing. There it is. Okay. Um, and so here for the second page, I'm just going to pick a blank space so you can actually see what I'm doing here. You can easily drag and drop fields to the flat PDFs now that you're in the envelope. So I can come and grab a name, and this would actually show that second person's full name. They don't have to type into that. Um, Maybe I want to add a text field. I can come and add text field, double click it, add information, and then you can add your signature blocks, add your date sign blocks. You can do whatever you need to do on that flat PDF, okay? Add those extra fields. Once you're done doing this, you can come up to the top and click preview, and then you'll be able to preview it looking from the buyer one's point of view, the buyer two's point of view. I should say signer one, signer two, whoever you've got. And once you're ready, you can come down here and click send or send later. You can go ahead and schedule those out. You also, under actions, have an option to save and close if you just want to save this as a draft, or you can discard altogether. Okay. So you've got options here. I'm going to go ahead and save as a draft. You can assume that you sent it. It would travel on to the signers that they need to sign. You would see that here under your envelopes tab within your room. You can come and see if it's a draft or if it's in progress. You could even click on that envelope if it was sent and in progress so that you can see step by step who's got it in their inbox, who's taking action, who hasn't received it yet. You can kind of keep your eyeballs on it, okay? And so let's say your client signed all the documents. Now, how do you get them turned in to your market center for compliance? So let's travel back to our opportunities tab in command and go to our documents tab. Remember these lists of forms right here? This is where you would begin uploading these forms to turn them into your market center. Notice we can attach files directly from within Docusign. You don't have to worry about manually downloading, manually uploading. As long as you followed that step at the beginning where I said start your transaction in command first, and so your room is linked appropriately to your command, then these forms should automatically be able to be chosen right here in this field. You would simply click that. Any forms that are flat PDFs you've uploaded or that are signed would appear here in the drop down, and you can select them and add them in that way directly from DocuSign. If you want to bring them in from your device, you can attach files from and choose My Computer, and then you can browse to see your computer files, or I can even drag and drop. So let's open my little file guy again. I can pick a little PDF and drag and drop it over to my opportunity that way. Okay, lots of ways to get your forms here. Once you've gone through, make sure you've got all your required forms added in over here. It will be added in when you see it in teal. You also have three little dots to remove it and try again if you need to. There's another print option here if you want. Once they're all here and you're good to go, you want to send it to your market center, you would just click Submit to MC right here. That would send this listed folder over to our market center to get approved for compliance. They will either approve it, send back a note, reject it, whatever they need to do, and you'll get a notification bell in your command letting you know the status of that. And then as you go through, under contract, closed, you would continue adding those in. I want to show you one last little feature here with this last little minute that we have. When you are working in an opportunity, guys, and again, the opportunity and sales pipeline class goes into this in more detail. Let's say the deal falls through. Okay, this was a listing, a buyer put it under contract, deal fell through, but you still have the listing. Or maybe it's a buyer opportunity and their deal fell through, but you're still working with the buyer. You don't have to create a new opportunity, a new room. You don't have to do that. Just right here within your Documents tab in the opportunity, you can click the under contract and add a new version. So it would be like contract two. Okay. And so you can add a new version, begin submitting documents to your market center for that new transaction on that same listing or new transaction for that same buyer and keep moving. Okay. So we just get a lot of questions about that. So I wanted to make sure that you're aware you have different versions you can add within the same opportunity. You don't have to keep burning opportunities and creating new ones. Okay. All right. That is the end of our DocuSign 101 class, guys. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording and go back through the chat and make sure I got all the questions answered. If you have any questions, go ahead and drop them in the chat as well. If you're watching this back on recording, you can always reach out to us, support@scottleroymarketing.com, and we'll be happy to help. Thanks for watching.